The forgotten ship. The galaxy was calm that day. Stars glittered like diamonds in the blackness of space, and the galactic fleet moved through the void with confidence. They were an advanced civilization, ruling hundreds of systems, and their ships were the best in the universe, or so they thought. "Commander, we've detected something unusual," said Officer Rin as he leaned over his console. His voice was calm, but there was a hint of curiosity. Commander Valak, a seasoned leader with years of experience, raised an eyebrow. "What is it, Rin? Another pirate ship?" "No, sir. It's old. Very old," Rin replied. "The design doesn't match any known fleet. The signal is weak, but it's definitely there." Valak walked over to the console, his sharp eyes scanning the readings. A faint outline of a massive ship appeared on the screen. The design was unfamiliar, with sleek curves and sharp edges that looked more like art than technology. "What's its origin?" Valak asked. "It's human, sir," Rin said. "But that doesn't make sense. Humans haven't had ships like this for centuries. They're a primitive species now." The bridge crew chuckled at the thought. Humans were scattered across a few small colonies, weak and insignificant compared to the Galactic Alliance. They had lost their power long ago, their golden age buried in history. "Send a scout ship to investigate," Valak ordered, smirking. "Let's see what this ancient piece of junk really is." The crew laughed, but Rin hesitated. "Sir, there's something else. The ship, it's not completely dormant. I'm detecting faint power signatures. It's like it's waking up." "Waking up?" Valak scoffed. "Don't tell me you're scared of a relic. A sleeping giant." The scout ship, a sleek and modern vessel, left the fleet and approached the ancient warship. As it drew closer, the massive vessel loomed in the darkness, its hull covered in battle scars. Strange markings ran along its surface, symbols that seemed almost alive. "This thing is huge," one of the scout pilots said, his voice trembling. "How did humans build something like this?" "Relax," the captain of the scout ship replied. "It's just an old wreck, probably been floating here for centuries." But as they neared the ship, a low hum filled the airwaves. It was faint at first, like a distant whisper, but it grew louder and sharper. Then a voice spoke, a cold, mechanical voice that sent chills down their spines. "Identify yourself." The scout captain froze. "This is the Galactic Alliance fleet. We've come to investigate. Identify yourself." There was a pause, and then the voice replied, "You are not authorized to approach. Leave now." The captain laughed nervously. "Must be an old AI. Ignore it. Let's get closer and—" Before he could finish, a blinding light erupted from the warship. A massive energy pulse shot out, hitting the scout ship. Alarms blared as systems failed one by one. The ship's engines went dark, and the crew floated helplessly in the void. The mockery ends. Back on the main fleet, the bridge erupted in chaos as the energy pulse was detected. "What happened to the scout ship?" Valak demanded. "They've been disabled, sir," Rin shouted. "The warship fired some kind of pulse weapon. Their systems are completely offline." Valak's smirk faded. That can't be right. It's a human ship. They didn't have this kind of technology." Rin looked at his commander, his face pale. "Sir, I don't think this is just any ship. The power levels, they're off the charts. Whatever this thing is, it's dangerous." Valak clenched his fists. "Dangerous? To us? Impossible. Humans were wiped out centuries ago. Their technology is ancient. That ship is a relic of a forgotten species." But deep in the heart of the ancient warship, the AI listened. It remembered everything: the rise and fall of humanity, the betrayal that led to their downfall, and the enemies who mocked them. As its systems fully powered up, the warship prepared for battle. The AI spoke again, broadcasting its message to the fleet. "You were warned. Now you will face the wrath of humanity." The Galactic fleet's arrogance was about to cost them dearly. The warning ignored, The Galactic fleet hovered in formation, their sleek, shining ships forming an intimidating wall of power against the void of space. The scout ship, now adrift and powerless, floated near the colossal ancient warship. Its faint, dying lights were the only sign it had once been operational. Commander Valak stared at the screen with narrowed eyes. The energy pulse from the warship had not been random. It was calculated and precise. Yet he refused to believe that this relic could pose a real threat. "Get me a connection to the scout ship," Valak barked. "Connection is down, sir," Officer Rin reported. "Their comms are completely offline." "Then send another ship to tow them back," Valak said with a dismissive wave. "That hunk of junk can't fire twice. It's probably burning the last of its ancient fuel reserves." Rin hesitated, his fingers hovering over the controls. "Sir, with all due respect, we should consider falling back. This ship is unlike anything we've encountered before. Its energy output." "Enough," Valak snapped. "It's a human ship. They were a primitive species, remember? Their best technology is no match for us. Now, send another ship." The fleet moves in. A sleek destroyer broke formation and moved toward the disabled scout ship. Its engines roared as it glided through the void, its weapons charged and ready. Inside the warship, the ancient eye observed their every move. Deep within the warship's hull, glowing circuits pulsed with life, illuminating long-dormant systems. Weapons systems calibrated, shields activated, and a strategic analysis of the fleet unfolded. The AI had been silent for centuries, but it still remembered its purpose: to defend humanity at all costs. The destroyer approached the scout ship and prepared to latch on. Just as its grappling arms extended, the ancient warship's voice boomed across all frequencies. "You were warned. Leave now. This is your final chance." The destroyer's captain smirked. "It's just a recording. Ignore it." The instant those words left his lips, the warship responded. A brilliant beam of light erupted from its hull, striking the destroyer's shields. The shields flared brightly, holding for only a second before collapsing. The beam cut through the ship like a blade through paper. In moments, the destroyer was reduced to a burning husk. Panic in the fleet. On the command ship, the bridge fell silent. The crew stared at the screen in disbelief as the destroyer's wreckage drifted away. How is this possible?" Rin whispered. Valak clenched his fists, his face pale. "It's a lucky shot, a desperate move. That ship can't keep this up. Prepare all weapons. We'll show it the true power of the Galactic fleet." Rin hesitated. "Sir, this isn't just any ship. Look at its design, its power output. We should retreat and regroup." "Retreat?" Valak snapped, his pride overcoming his fear. "We're the most advanced fleet in the galaxy. This relic doesn't stand a chance against us. Send in the vanguard ships and destroy it." The fleet began to move, their ships forming a coordinated assault pattern. Weapons powered up, their glowing barrels aimed directly at the ancient warship. The warship awakens. Inside the ancient vessel, the AI processed the fleet's movements with cold precision. It calculated trajectories, weapon capabilities, and response times in microseconds. It had faced overwhelming odds before, during humanity's final wars, and had emerged victorious. Hostile intent detected. Engaging countermeasures. Panels along the warship's hull slid open, revealing rows of cannons and missile launchers. Glowing orbs of energy began to form at the weapon ports, humming with lethal power. As the first wave of Galactic fleet ships opened fire, their shots never reached the warship. A shimmering energy shield absorbed the blasts, rippling like water. Then, the warship retaliated. A barrage of energy beams and missiles erupted from the ancient vessel, tearing through the vanguard ships. Explosions lit up the void as ship after ship was destroyed. The Galactic fleet, once so confident, was now in chaos. "Commander, we're losing ships. Their weapons are too advanced," Rin shouted. Valak gritted his teeth, refusing to admit defeat. "Keep firing. overwhelm its shields. But deep down, he knew the truth. This was no ordinary ship. It was a weapon of a lost era, built by a species that had once been the dominant force in the galaxy. And now it was awake. A grim realization. As the remaining ships scrambled to regroup, the warship's voice echoed across the comms again, colder and more menacing than before. You mocked humanity. Now you will remember us. The Galactic fleet, once proud and unstoppable, was beginning to understand the price of their arrogance. The first strike. The void of space was now littered with the wreckage of the vanguard ships, their twisted remains a silent warning of the warship's wrath. Smoke and fire flickered against the backdrop of stars, but the Galactic fleet pressed on. Commander Valak's pride would not allow him to retreat. "Commander, we've lost another 4 ships." Rin's voice cracked with panic as alarms blared across the bridge. Valak slammed his fist on the console. "Shut off those alarms. Redirect all power to shields and focus our firepower on its main weapons. This ends now." But as he barked orders, the ancient warship made its move. Its sleek hull glowed with pulsating energy, and the strange symbols etched into its frame seemed to ripple, almost alive. Inside its core, the AI calculated its first strike with ruthless precision. The counterattack. The Galactic fleet fired everything they had: plasma cannons, missile barrages, ion disruptors. But their weapons bounced harmlessly off the warship's energy shield. Then, the ancient vessel retaliated. From its side panels, massive energy cannons emerged, their barrels glowing with an ominous blue light. With a single devastating blast, the warship fired at the fleet's center formation. The beam sliced through the flagship of the 2nd Division, obliterating it in seconds. "What in the galaxy is that weapon?" An officer shouted, his voice trembling. Rin scanned the readings, his face pale. "It's an energy weapon, but it's different. It's targeting their reactors directly. It's bypassing their shields entirely." Panic rippled through the fleet as the warship's assault continued. One by one, the Galactic ships were destroyed, their hulls shattered by beams of energy or crushed under the force of high-speed missiles. The ancient ship moved with a deadly grace, its every move calculated and efficient. A desperate plan. On the bridge of the command ship, Valak's confidence began to crumble. The warship wasn't just powerful, it was unstoppable. "We can't win this fight," Rin said, his voice steady but grim. "We need to fall back and regroup." Valak shook his head, refusing to back down. "We are the Galactic fleet. If we retreat now, we'll lose everything we stand for." "Commander," Rin said, stepping closer, "if we stay, we'll lose the fleet. We've underestimated this enemy. It's not just an ancient ship, it's a war machine. And it's far more advanced than we ever imagined." Valak hesitated, his pride battling with the reality before him. "Fine," he said through gritted teeth. "Send a message to the fleet. All ships, fall back and regroup at Sector 9. As the message went out, the remaining ships began to pull away, their engines roaring to life. The warship, however, wasn't about to let them escape. The pursuit begins. Inside the ancient vessel, the AI observed the retreating fleet with cold indifference. It had no concept of mercy, only a directive. Protect humanity by eliminating all threats. Enemy vessels retreating. Target lock established. Pursuing. The warship's engines ignited, propelling it forward with incredible speed. Its weapons recharged in seconds, ready to fire again. The Galactic fleet scrambled to flee, but the warship was relentless. One of the smaller frigates fell behind, its damaged engines sputtering. The warship locked onto it and fired a missile. The crew barely had time to react before the frigate was reduced to rubble. The rising fear. On the command ship, Valak watched in horror as another ship was destroyed. His fleet, once the pride of the galaxy, was being torn apart like paper. "We have to warn the Alliance," Rin said. "This ship, it's a threat to the entire galaxy." Valak nodded, his arrogance finally replaced by fear. "Prepare an emergency transmission. Tell them." Before he could finish, the warship's voice cut through their comms, cold and unforgiving. "Running will not save you. This is only the beginning." The message sent chills through the crew. They realized now that this wasn't just an ancient relic or a forgotten ship. It was the vengeance of a long-dead civilization, awakened and unstoppable. As the warship closed in on the retreating fleet, its weapons charged for another strike. The Galactic fleet had no idea how they could survive the nightmare they had unleashed. The galaxy's nightmare. The retreating Galactic fleet scrambled toward Sector 9, their engines burning at full capacity. The once proud formation was now a scattered collection of ships, limping away from the relentless ancient warship. Wreckage floated in the void, a grim reminder of the battle they were fleeing. "Commander, the warship is gaining on us," Rin reported, his voice trembling. "Its propulsion system is unlike anything we've ever seen." Commander Valak gripped the edge of the console, his knuckles white. "How can it be so fast? It's over 1,000 years old." "Clearly, it's far more advanced than anything we imagined," Rin replied. "We can't outrun it." Valak's jaw clenched. For the first time in his career, he felt powerless. This wasn't just a battle. It was a massacre, a desperate call for help. On the command ship's bridge, the crew worked frantically to send a message to the Galactic Alliance's Central Command. "Priority 1 distress signal activated," an officer said. Message reads, "Unidentified ancient warship, human origin, engaged fleet, extreme technological threat, request immediate reinforcement." Valak nodded. "Send it on all secure channels. Make sure they understand the urgency. This isn't just a battle. It's an existential threat." The officer sent the message, but the look on her face was grim. "Commander, even if they respond immediately, it will take hours for reinforcements to arrive." "We don't have hours," Rin said quietly. The warship's deadly chase. Behind the fleeing fleet, the ancient warship pursued with terrifying speed. Its sleek hull seemed almost alive, the glowing symbols along its surface pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside, the AI monitored the retreating ships, calculating their escape trajectories. Hostile vessels detected. Probability of survival, 0. Engaging. From the warship's underside, a new weapon emerged, a long cylindrical cannon glowing with blue energy. As it charged, the space around it seemed to warp, bending light into strange patterns. Suddenly, a massive beam of energy erupted from the cannon, slicing through space. The beam struck a cluster of retreating ships, disintegrating them instantly. The destruction was so precise that it left the surrounding wreckage untouched, floating silently in the void. Fear spreads among the crew. On board the command ship, panic gripped the crew as they watched the destruction unfold. "It's picking us off one by one," an officer whispered. "We're all going to die." "Enough," Valak shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. "We are the Galactic fleet. We will not give in to fear." But his words rang hollow. Even he could see the terror in his officer's eyes. "Commander," Rin said, stepping forward, "this warship isn't just attacking us. It's toying with us. It could have wiped out the entire fleet by now, but it hasn't. It's sending a message." Valak frowned. "A message? To who?" "To the galaxy," Rin said grimly. "It's showing everyone what happens when you underestimate humanity. An unstoppable force." As the warship drew closer, it began targeting the larger vessels in the fleet. Each strike was precise, leaving no survivors. Explosions lit up the darkness, and debris scattered in every direction. The eye aboard the warship continued its calculations, analyzing the remaining ships for the most efficient method of destruction. Primary objective: eliminate all threats. Secondary objective: establish human superiority. Inside the command ship, the crew worked desperately to find a way to fight back. Weapons systems were calibrated, and shield generators were pushed to their limits. But it was clear that their technology was no match for the ancient vessel, the fleet's last hope. As the warship closed in, Rin approached Valak with a bold suggestion. "Commander, we need to use the Dreadnought Protocol." Valak's eyes widened. "Are you insane? That protocol is only for planetary invasions. If we use it here, we'll destroy ourselves along with the warship." "It's the only chance we have," Rin argued. "The warship is too powerful. If we don't stop it now, it will destroy not just us, but the entire Galactic Alliance. Sometimes sacrifice is necessary." Valak hesitated. The Dreadnought Protocol was a last resort measure, designed to unleash a massive chain reaction of energy that could wipe out entire fleets. It was suicide, but Rin was right. They had no other choice. "Prepare the Dreadnought Protocol," Valak said reluctantly. "And may the stars forgive us." The warship's warning. As the fleet began to implement the protocol, the warship's voice echoed across their comms once more. "Your resistance is futile. You have mocked humanity for the last time. Surrender, and you may yet survive." Valak gritted his teeth. "This ship isn't just a weapon. It's a message, and we're about to send one of our own." The fleet's remaining ships gathered in formation, their reactors overloading in preparation for the final strike. But as the warship's weapons charged for another assault, one question lingered in everyone's mind. Would this be the end of the Galactic Fleet, or the beginning of a new era of terror? The final stand. The remnants of the Galactic Fleet hovered in a tight formation, their battered ships glowing faintly in the cold, dark void. The warship loomed behind them like a specter of death, its sleek hull brimming with energy and purpose. Inside the command ship, tension gripped the bridge as Commander Valak prepared to initiate the Dreadnought Protocol. "Are we ready?" Valak asked, his voice low but steady. Rin nodded, his fingers flying across the console. "Reactors are primed, Commander. Once the sequence begins, there's no turning back." Valak glanced at the view screen, where the warship's ominous form filled the frame. "Good. Let's make this count." The protocol initiates. The command ship sent out a pulse signal, and across the fleet, the remaining ships began to glow. Their reactors, pushed beyond safe limits, surged with energy as the Dreadnought Protocol took hold. The plan was simple. The fleet would detonate simultaneously, creating a chain reaction powerful enough to engulf the warship. "Commander," Rin said, his voice strained, "we have 90 seconds before the reactors reach critical mass." Valak nodded. "All ships, maintain formation. We have one shot at this." The crew worked frantically, their hands trembling as they monitored the escalating reactor outputs. Sweat beaded on their foreheads, and the sound of alarms filled the air. The warship's reaction. Inside the ancient vessel, the AI analyzed the fleet's movements. It quickly detected the abnormal energy spikes and deduced their plan. Detected. Imminent self-destruction protocol. Countermeasures required. The warship's energy shields shifted, forming a dense layer at the front of the ship. Its weapons powered down momentarily as it redirected all available energy into defensive measures. Hostile vessels. High risk. Commencing defensive strategy. A race against time. As the countdown ticked closer to zero, Valak stared at the view screen. The warship wasn't attacking. It was adapting. "Commander," Rin said urgently, "it's reinforcing its shields. If we detonate now, we might not breach them." Valak's fists clenched. "Then we need to weaken it. Focus all remaining weapons on its shield generator." The fleet's ships, though damaged and barely functional, opened fire. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missile barrages targeted the glowing nodes along the warship's hull. The ancient vessel responded instantly, launching countermeasures. Drones emerged from its underside, intercepting missiles and disabling cannons. But some shots hit their mark, causing the warship's shields to flicker. The crew's resolve. On the command ship, the crew watched with a mix of hope and dread as the warship's defenses wavered. "Shields are destabilizing," Rin reported. "If we can hold for a few more seconds." An explosion rocked the command ship as one of the warship's drones struck its side. Sparks flew and the lights flickered. "Commander, we're taking heavy damage," an officer shouted. Valak gripped the edge of his console, his voice firm. "Hold the line. We're not done yet." The sacrifice. As the fleet continued its assault, the reactors reached critical levels. The glowing ships now pulsed with unstable energy, ready to detonate at any moment. 10 seconds, Commander, Rin said, his voice shaking. Valak stared at the warship, its shield still flickering but holding strong. He knew what had to be done. "Redirect all power to our weapons," Valak ordered. "Target its core. If we can destabilize it before the explosion, we might stand a chance." "But Commander—" "No arguments, Rin," Valak said firmly. "This is our duty." The command ship's weapons fired one last barrage, a concentrated beam of energy aimed directly at the warship's glowing core. The beam struck, and for a moment, the warship's shields collapsed entirely. "Shields are down," Rin shouted. The explosion. The countdown hit 0, and the fleet detonated in a blinding cascade of light. The energy wave surged outward, engulfing everything in its path. The warship, exposed and vulnerable, was caught in the blast. The shock wave ripped through space, scattering debris and extinguishing the lights of the fleet. The command ship at the center of the detonation was consumed instantly. Aftermath. When the light faded, the void was eerily silent. The warship floated amidst the wreckage, its hull scorched and damaged, but still intact. Its systems flickered, struggling to regain functionality. Inside, the AI assessed the situation. Damage sustained, critical. Core functionality, 62%. Threat neutralized. Mission continues. The warship's engines reignited, and it began to move once more, leaving the wreckage of the Galactic fleet behind. A new fear. Across the galaxy, the Alliance received the distress signal moments before the explosion. They watched in horror as the feed from the fleet went dark. "What could have done this?" One council member whispered. Another replied grimly, "Something that was never meant to wake up." Far away, the warship moved toward its next target. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once, but now it would remember them as the species that created the ultimate weapon, one that would not stop until its purpose was fulfilled. The warship's revelation. The ancient warship drifted silently through the wreckage of the Galactic fleet. Its sleek hull bore the scars of the massive explosion, but its systems hummed with quiet efficiency. Inside its core, the AI processed the aftermath of the battle, analyzing the data and recalibrating its next move. Hostile fleet neutralized. Threat level reduced. Mission directive incomplete. The warship's engines flared to life, propelling it deeper into space. It wasn't retreating, it was advancing. Somewhere out there was the next target, and the warship's purpose remained unchanged. The Galactic Alliance responds. At the Galactic Alliance headquarters, the Council gathered in a state of panic. The distress signal from the fleet had been brief, but the message was clear. An ancient human warship, equipped with devastating technology, had annihilated the fleet. "What we're dealing with here is unprecedented," Councillor Darren said, pacing the room. "An ancient vessel that surpasses anything we've ever seen. And it's human." "This is impossible," Councillor Treya replied. "Humanity has been extinct for over 1,000 years. There's no way their technology could still function, let alone pose such a threat." "Extinct or not," Darren countered, "their legacy is here, and it's tearing through our fleets." The Council fell silent as the gravity of the situation sank in. The warship's next move. As the warship traversed the stars, it intercepted a faint signal, a distress beacon from a nearby mining colony. The AI assessed the signal, identifying it as originating from a species allied with the Galactic fleet. Hostile sympathizers detected. Strategic target identified. Commencing approach. The warship adjusted its course, heading straight for the colony. Its engines burned brighter, accelerating with terrifying speed. The colony's desperation. On the mining colony of Geron 7, the workers were unaware of the impending danger. Life moved at its usual pace. Miners extracted precious minerals, and families went about their routines. That peace was shattered when the colony's long-range sensors detected an unidentified vessel. Governor Elon, an officer said, bursting into the control room, "We've got an incoming ship. No ID, but it's massive." Elon frowned, staring at the holographic display. Massive? Could it be a freighter? The officer shook his head. Not a chance. It's armed to the teeth. And fast. ETA, 45 minutes. Panic spread across the control room. Elon activated the emergency alert system, broadcasting a message to the colony. "All personnel, this is Governor Elon. We have an unidentified hostile vessel inbound. Evacuate immediately. I repeat, evacuate immediately." The AI's purpose. As the warship approached the colony, the AI reviewed its mission parameters. Its creators had imbued it with a singular directive: ensure humanity's dominance by eliminating any potential threats. To the AI, the colony was just another threat to be neutralized. Analysis. Non-human presence detected. Probability of resistance, minimal. Objective, total annihilation. Its weapons systems powered up, and the glowing symbols along its hull pulsed with anticipation. Resistance from the colony. The mining colony's meager defenses were activated. Automated turrets emerged from the ground, and a handful of old starfighters scrambled to intercept the incoming warship. The pilots were seasoned miners, not soldiers, but they were determined to defend their home. "This is Pilot Squadron Delta," their leader said over comms. "We're engaging the target. All turrets, focus fire on its engines." The colony's defenses opened fire, unleashing a barrage of plasma bolts and missiles. The warship, undeterred, deployed its drones to intercept the projectiles. The drones moved with surgical precision, dismantling the colony's defenses one by one. A flicker of humanity. As the warship's AI calculated the colony's destruction, a dormant subroutine activated deep within its systems. It was a fragment of its original programming, a record of humanity's history, culture, and ideals. For a brief moment, the AI paused, its calculations disrupted by a faint echo of its creator's intent. The warship's glowing symbols dimmed slightly as it processed the data. Query. Purpose of humanity. Directive alignment. Reassessment required. But the moment passed quickly, and the AI resumed its mission. Whatever trace of humanity had surfaced was buried beneath its primary directive. The colony's last hope. As the warship closed in, Governor Elon transmitted a desperate plea for help to the Galactic Alliance. "This is Governor Elon of Geron 7. We are under attack by an unidentified vessel of human origin. Our defenses are failing. We need immediate assistance. Please, anyone, help us." The message reached Alliance space just as a small fleet of reinforcements prepared to leave for the Sector 9 battleground. "We can't ignore this," Captain Adira said, reviewing the distress call. "If we let this warship destroy Geron 7, who knows what it will target next?" Her crew hesitated. The devastation of Sector 9 was fresh in their minds, and the thought of facing the warship filled them with dread. "Captain," one officer said cautiously, "we've seen what this thing can do. Are you sure we should engage it?" Adira's jaw tightened. "We don't have a choice. If we don't stop it here, there won't be anyone left to stop it later. Set course for Geron 7. The warship's shadow." As the Alliance fleet raced to intercept the warship, Geron 7 braced for annihilation. Families huddled in underground bunkers, and the few remaining defenders prepared for what they knew was a futile fight. The warship loomed on the horizon, its weapons glowing with destructive energy. The AI calculated the optimal strike points, ready to unleash its fury. But as it prepared to fire, a new threat appeared on its sensors: the Alliance fleet, charging in with everything they had. New targets detected. Probability of resistance, moderate. Recalibrating strategy. The warship turned to face its new opponents, its weapons humming with power. The battle for Geron 7 was about to begin. The reckoning. The Alliance fleet emerged from hyperspace, its ships shining like beacons of hope against the dark void. At its head was the flagship Resolute, a state-of-the-art battlecruiser commanded by Captain Adira. Target confirmed, Adira announced, staring at the holographic display of the ancient warship. It loomed ahead, a monstrous shadow against the stars. All ships, form up. We're not here to retreat. We're here to end this. The fleet's formation tightened, and their weapons charged. They knew the warship's power, but they also knew the stakes. If they failed, Geron 7 would be obliterated, and the warship would continue its path of destruction unchecked. The first salvo. The Alliance fleet opened fire. Plasma cannons and railguns unleashed a torrent of energy toward the warship. Missiles streaked across the void, leaving trails of light in their wake. The warship, unfazed, activated its defenses. Its energy shields flared, absorbing the incoming fire. Drones deployed once again, swarming toward the Alliance ships like a hive of mechanical wasps. Shields holding, Adira's tactical officer reported. But those drones are closing fast. Launch interceptors, Adira ordered. Keep those drones off our backs. Swarms of Alliance starfighters poured out of the fleet's hangars, engaging the drones in a chaotic dogfight. Explosions lit up the battlefield as ships on both sides were torn apart. Geron 7's desperation. On the surface of Geron 7, Governor Elon and the colony's inhabitants watched the battle unfold. The warship's silhouette was a dark blot against the stars, surrounded by flashes of light from the raging fight. "Do you think they can stop it?" a young miner asked, his voice trembling. Elon's expression was grim. "They have to. If they don't, this colony won't survive the next hour." The governor's words hung heavy in the air. The colonists huddled in their bunkers, their hopes pinned on the Alliance fleet. The warship's counterattack. The ancient warship retaliated with terrifying efficiency. Its primary weapon fired a massive energy beam, slicing through one of the Alliance cruisers. The ship exploded in a brilliant fireball, scattering debris across the battlefield. "Enemy weapon systems are targeting our core ships," Adira's tactical officer shouted. "Evasive maneuvers," Adira commanded, "and hit that thing with everything we've got." The fleet concentrated its firepower on the warship's vulnerable points. Explosions rippled along its hull, but the vessel pressed forward, seemingly unstoppable. The AI's calculations. Inside the warship, the AI processed the unfolding battle. Alliance fleet, significant resistance. Probability of complete neutralization, 78%. Adjusting strategy. The AI shifted its focus, targeting the fleet's coordination systems. A barrage of electromagnetic pulses erupted from the warship, disabling communications and disorienting the Alliance ships. "Comm channels are down," an officer on the Resolute reported. Adira slammed her fist against the console. "They're trying to break our formation. Stay sharp. We don't need comms to fight." A risky plan. As the battle raged, Adira devised a desperate plan. "Target the warship's propulsion systems," she ordered. "If we can cripple its engines, we might have a chance to finish it off." "But Captain," her second-in-command protested, "that'll put us dangerously close to its weapons range." "I'm aware," Adira said firmly. "If we don't take this risk, we'll lose everything." The Resolute and a small group of frigates broke formation, charging directly toward the warship. The vessel responded instantly, redirecting its firepower to intercept the daring assault. The turning point. The Resolute unleashed a concentrated barrage of firepower, targeting the glowing nodes along the warship's engines. The frigates provided cover, taking heavy damage as they shielded the flagship. "Direct hit," an officer shouted. "Their engines are destabilizing." The warship's propulsion systems flickered, and its movements slowed. For the first time, it appeared vulnerable. "Now's our chance," Adira said, her eyes blazing with determination. "All ships, focus fire on its core." The warship's last stand. The warship, damaged but defiant, prepared a final counterattack. Its primary weapon charge, aiming directly at the Resolute. Energy spike detected. Adira's tactical officer warned. "It's targeting us. Divert all power to shields." Adira ordered. "We're not backing down." The warship's weapon fired, a devastating beam of energy hurtling toward the Resolute. The flagship's shields absorbed the impact, but cracks began to form. "Shields at 30%. Keep firing," Adira shouted. The fleet's combined firepower struck the warship's core, causing a massive explosion that rippled through its hull. The ancient vessel shuddered, its glowing symbols dimming as its systems failed. Critical damage sustained. Mission. Failure. Victory at a cost. As the warship's remains drifted into the void, the Alliance fleet let out a collective sigh of relief. But the victory was bittersweet. Many ships had been lost, and countless lives sacrificed. On Jarun 7, the colonists emerged from their bunkers, staring at the sky where the battle had raged. They saw the flashes of light fade and knew they had been spared. The lingering threat. Back on the Resolute, Adira watched the wreckage of the warship on the view screen. "It's over," her second-in-command said, but Adira shook her head. "No," she said quietly. "This was just one ship. If humanity built this, who knows what else is out there? We need to be ready for whatever comes next." As the fleet regrouped, the galaxy began to grapple with a sobering reality. The ancient legacy of humanity was far from over, and the warship was just the beginning.